Hello everyone, and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. This today is a ranked game. It's the game of all time. Honestly, I was so confused with what's going on here, and I wanted to show you guys because, if you're here for seeing an expert play and all that, Blitzwar is a much more skilled player, and definitely on YouTube as well. But if you're here for sometimes some goofy games, sometimes some good games, and sometimes some bad games where I take my lumps and move on, well, that's what I have to offer. So I'm going up against a major whose name I did not recognize, and I'm playing as Eurocore, which right away, the thing is, this guy, he readied up in about, I don't know, 10 or 11 seconds. So the reason I have a Gepard back here is because I was fully expecting a helo rush. I was fully expecting to see helicopters just make their way down the highway and, go right for my base. And that's why we have Gepards at the base. Kind of an effective bit of psychology there for my opponent, but instead what we see are two quad stacks of Caspier Mark IIs. And right away, by the way, I hate that vehicle. It's 10 points for wheels, and South Africa has so many amazing 15-point transports, you may as well just take those. And so I'm opening up into Charlie and Delta, and then a relatively lighter force into Bravo. These are just reservists. So then I have, the stereotypical Milan and Commandos Para just moving in, making sure I have a little bit of zoning capability there, along with a single recon infantry over in Echo, which, this was a bit of a compromise because the investment into the two Gepard A2s made it so that I barely had enough stuff in Charlie to feel like I was going. But this is it. This is a quad stack of Bogamok. These guys are, of course, the 5.15 strength South African militia, who, if not for their required choices of vehicle, would I think be very, very scary. But we also intercept more. All of these are Caspier Mark IIs, by the way. So we've seen just so many points in 10-point vehicles going in, and my Tiger is wasting rocket pods and wasting Hot 2s on them. And I don't know, this was very... look, 1, 2 more Bogamok. I think my opponent started mostly militia, which I have never seen before ever, and I'm going to have to try and take advantage of it. So, I've seen this, I've seen the Caspiers, I know that I can handle these guys in a fight. We're going to be going into the woods and trying to do that with some VAB T-2013s and Legion 90, who, of course, are kind of wasting their Eric's missiles against things like that. But, I wasn't really sure what else to do, so I'm bringing some Martyrs over here in the reinforcement lane, and I figured the Martyrs can sit there and just shoot in all day, and the Caspier Mark IIs will just, not even know what hit them, right? So, I don't know. So far, so good. You're looking for a cap on Charlie, you're looking for a contested Bravo, a contested Echo, and the +2 tick that can become a +4, or just deny your opponent their own 2-pointer. And this has so far been very much an exercise in doing my opening without much that has disturbed it. So I was sitting there going, okay, sure, great, awesome. Commandos Para can move up a little bit, Legion can move up a little bit, the VAB and the 10RC moving around, that way we don't get outflanked on the high ground, because I've seen people take infantry and go up here then back down before, and it is kind of annoying. So I wanted some eyes on that, but there's more Caspiers. Just more of them. These, of course, are K cars. They have autocannons on the top, and I think it's a much better investment. It's 5 more points, and it's so effective at combat. It's actually kind of impressive. Not really that much armor on the car, but that seems to be the strategy. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, you know what? He's just kind of building up huge masses slowly, and he's just going to probably wait me out and then throw all of it at my face at one time. So we're going to speed things up just a little bit as this game does sort of stall out. But you can see this is why I like the K cars better. He puts them back, good position there, and then runs in a quad stack of Buffalo's 85. That's so expensive. That's 140 points of infantry right there. It's almost a super heavy buy in Buffalo's 85, which carry Milan 1s and are usually considered, occasionally good, but very situational infantry. And, they're killing my reservists, but my reservists cost 10 points to their 140. So, is that a win? It's probably a little bit of a win, but I don't know. And then I guess the Milan F1s are actually kind of useful here. Otherwise, my AMXs would have probably sat out of the range of most things and been able to shoot in and damage the Buffaloes. So, I guess that's the argument for them right there. That certainly didn't seem to hurt too bad. And I'm actually calling in 1, 2 command vehicles just because I figured if he's not going to pressure me outside of, quad stacks of Buffaloes, I may as well start to get more points on him, because he's right now ticking +2. Which, with 35 minutes left, is not that big of a deal. But I have this nice position in Delta. I have a Vab going around. It's running into Bergamot, which I probably should have expected, to be frank. And, you know, we're just kind of scooching up a little bit. And I do just want to ask, if you guys have the time, if you have the inclination, go ahead and do a like, share, subscribe, and all that jazz. It's been a little bit of a difficult month on YouTube. They made some changes last month, and I don't know. I'm not sure if it's that. I'm not sure if it's the videos, the content that I'm putting up that people aren't as interested in. But, yeah, it's been a little bit of a rough month. Don't worry, I'm still making my way through it. We're not going to give up on anything, far from it. It's a stereotypical YouTuber thing of, oh no, my views sunk down to what they used to be a couple months ago, whatever will I do? And, you know, it'll be fine. It's just a bit of an ask because the point of the channel doing well is growth, and right now we're kind of shrinking. So that's enough about that. Martyr 2's moving up, Tiger moving up, and this guy is from the beginning of the game. I brought him back over, resupplied him, and then brought him back around, and he's just sitting back here because, frankly, I'm not even sure I want to take this fight. We're about to get our own command infantry back into Delta. As soon as I do, I start getting a nice tick, and I know that my opponent has invested a fair number of points in Bravo, a fair number of points where they don't really matter all that much. You can see, like, I'm not contesting this hardly at all. The only reason I have stuff here is because I saw the second quad stack of vehicles coming out, and I thought to myself, you know what, let's at least get enough in this section to deter him, because what you'll see people do occasionally is attack through from Bravo into this section, trying to cut off your reinforcement route, and then what they'll do, if they're really good, is they'll take this and simultaneously push you out of Delta and into Charlie. And the idea is when you're spending your reinforcements on this section and you can't get anything over to the 2-pointers, that's when they strike the 2-pointers, and it's not going to work out very well. So we do also have artillery coming in from Gulf, and I've brought in my own César, just because it was a bit of a slower game and I wanted that incremental value. And this is kind of goofy. Look at that. That's a Valkyrie, which is the South African MLRS. It's going in, smoking my Milan 2 and my Commandos para team, as I am withdrawing a couple of vehicles. These are the Buffaloes 85, probably with recon infantry up around them, getting some shots in. But as soon as that Valkyrie fires, I retask my César, so he's already aiming, and we're going to try to shoot in to kill my opponent's Valkyrie if he hasn't moved him yet. It was a bit slower than I had wanted, but I was already firing, so yeah, you gotta keep that in mind. And here we go, a couple of shots on the way, and I'm going to show you guys just briefly the Blue 4 position, because watching the replay, I could not believe my eyes with this. It was kind of crazy, but we're going to keep it zoomed in, that way we don't spoil everything for you. So here comes the César shells, and let's see. First one, very nearly a kill. I was kind of disappointed watching the replay, because that was 4 points of damage, and then the dispersion on the second shot, we miss. So, you know, it's firing blind, you do get some dispersion, but the Valkyrie does get away, which denies me a 60-point kill. But look at this. Watch the Caspiers. As soon as I shoot at the Valkyrie, he takes these, all of them grouped up, and fans them out behind his base. Which, I mean, that's some tripwire units, man. It's actually 200 points nearly of tripwire units that he has in all the Caspiers. That's 10, 20, 30, 40, 80, and up to about 200 there with the other Caspier Mark IIs. And you can make an argument that you need thorough base defense, right? But, I mean, oh geez, these are the 15-pointers as well. Yeah, the issue is these guys don't have any recon, so they're just blind. And, you know, if I had anything back here, it would run into one, he'd be able to respond. But it's such a heavy investment that doesn't actually carry recon with it. I was sitting there going, holy shit. Okay, fair enough. And at the time, I mean, I just counterfired his artillery. If you fire your artillery, expect it to get counterfired. It doesn't mean that I have vision in your base. It doesn't mean anyone has vision in your base. It means that they don't want your artillery to get away scot-free. So we do have more stuff moving up. I'm coming up here with some VABs and some more Legion 90, I think, because with the Buffalo shooting in, with some focus pressure in here, I was definitely sitting there thinking, okay, that's where he wants to go. And he did also use another quad stack of Buffaloes 85 to push me out of this section. You know, I've never seen Buffalo 85 be that effective, but we'll hopefully make him pay for it a little bit. I've got some mortars shooting in. They won't do the best damage to things in towns, but yeah, they let him know they let him know I know he's there, and we might be able to get a little bit of damage and some panic and force him to have to go back and resupply them. Now, on this side, reservists fighting reservists, well, standard reservists versus Bergamot, and then I have Commandos Para moving up, leading the way in front of an MX-10 RC and some Legion 90, just thinking to myself, you know, if we have Delta countercapped already, we're ticking +2 for a while, and he's doing things with Valkyries and Buffalo 85 quad stacks, let's just see what he has here. And frankly, from this point, I should have already been bringing in reinforcements, and most likely some anti-air, because this is pretty close to your opponent's air spawn. It's going to be a bit of an issue, and it should be expected to be a bit of an issue whenever you push in this side. People, I mean, I've seen people bring in air before. Like, let's look, yeah, looking zoomed out, their air spawn is right here, and it has to go maybe a quarter of the map to get over there. And in order to do that, it has a really safe route, because especially if the Blue 4 team controls Bravo, the odds of me having anti-air in a range that can hit them, if I'm not the US, is very small. I'd have to have radar AA basically up here, which, you know, you can sometimes, but it's not the most common. Now, Rurikot 76 does get me a little bit there, but we actually get revenge on him. That's going to be a 50-point kill. But then the Impala Mark II rocket planes start coming in, and I start losing pieces. And as soon as that happens, I'm just going to pull back, because frankly, I don't have that much to gain here. Even if he caps, so he's capping Bravo, we're still taking out a +1, and we're up by 54 points already. Let's just pull back, make sure we can defend, and I'll bring in more units there. Plus, we're doing a little bit of a slow push on Foxtrot, getting the Fuchs Milan up to the high ground. I love having stuff up here, because if I can then get my commandos para forward, and we can have recon, the Fuchs Milan, okay, so mine isn't close enough to the edge, but if you get him a little bit closer to the ledge, from time to time it looks like he can shoot down that Milan over into this section, so you basically intercept reinforcements on their way to the town in Fox, which can win you games on that section. So Caspier K-Car is moving in, and I think this is just a bit of a counter push. Let's see how it goes for him, as Bergamot are sparring with Legion 90, who did also get rocket pod planes, so yeah, this was not lost to reservists, it was lost to the air support there. But we take out 1, 2, 3, 4. That right there is 60 points worth of kills, and does kind of, oh yeah, there it is, Impala Mark IIs. Never really seen them used like that, instead of more stuff on the, but the conjunction with Bergamot was surprisingly cheap, surprisingly effective, right? He killed a lot of my infantry, the Commandos Para Recon, as well as Legion 90, and my apologies, these were Commando Marine that I was bringing up, just to say, if you get to the town, you're not going to pass, and here it is, here it comes. This is the glorious, slow, mechanized, over open ground South Africa push by a major, and that means also you have to take this seriously, right? Like, if you see someone way higher ranked than you, it's quite possible they're just messing around, trying something out, but even then, they usually are trying out with good fundamentals, or at least better fundamentals than you have when you're not their rank. So I'm a second lieutenant, and this guy is a major. I had to assume he knows what he's doing. So rolling threes are coming around, but now I need more stuff on the ground here, holding, making sure I don't lose this reinforcement zone. And that's what we're going to be trying to do. I also did cap Echo just to pop us back up to a +2 and make sure that my opponent did have to worry about points in this game. So if we take a look in Rover 106s, these guys are the 10 pointers. They have no armor at all, but they do have 3 HE, high explosive anti-tank, or heat rather, guns, and this was actually pretty great. So his commandos, my commandos para are opening up with their primary and their tertiary at Bergamot, and because of that they're spotted, and within line of sight of the Rover 106s, we'll get a couple of points of damage every time they shoot in. So I'm losing my commandos para to just cheap 5 points militia spam. These guys are much more expensive, actually matching the cost of the whole stack, and I have lower availability, although maybe not compared to quad stacks. So I'm actually smoking, trying to block off line of sight from the Rover 106s, which I believe does work here. Yep, they do stop firing, and that allows my own 1390s to get some shots in. So I just pulled them back, and then sent them up around, and I'm trying to use them to deny this approach. So cut off his fire support, use my own, and then retreat back, and I was actually almost running out of fuel, because, why not? But there is going to be a second wave and more Rover 106s. So you can see whatever he had here, I think they might have been Buffalo's 90. They're waiting for another quad stack rather, of Bergamot. And it's a lot of meat to chew through, right? Like 15 strength militia are no joke. If they had a 5-point transport, I think they'd be the best militia in the game. But I don't think they do. So Valkyrie is firing in again. Let's see if it's smoke or if it's HE this time. And that is going to be HE. So he was looking for my 1390s with the Valkyrie. May panic them if he hits. Probably unlikely to do much strength damage, just because the Valkyrie is not exactly a... so we see stun, they're down to shaken and worried, but no actual health damage there. So that was fine, and it's absolutely fine. It wastes his Valkyrie rounds a little bit, and a little bit of micro stress for basically no return. So there is also a Carver, and here it comes. We can see more Blue 4 units just headed right down the road. I mean, Yeah, he's making his intentions very clear here, and I mean, I brought some more reinforcements over, maybe a little bit too late to Delta, but I did also want to just make sure that he couldn't bring anything over to this side, and really kind of surprise me, as my Caesar has, and always look for this, by the way, that little blip there in Delta means that his CV is in one of two places, right here, or right here, because the fire in the woods is what forced him to move. So I didn't kill it, but now I know more or less where it is. So I can keep firing at that, I can hopefully get a lucky kill. We'll just see what we can do. Now his Valkyrie is blocking off with smoke this time my support, so I have to bring the 1390s up more forward, and the Commando Marine are going to suffer the same fate as my Commando's Para, just getting kind of smacked by 10-point recoilless rifle jeeps used as pretty good fire support. But there is also a Wargame, and here come the Buffalo's 85, so I was sitting there going, this is a super heavy, or at least the only super heavy that South Africa gets. And if I can take it out, that's a really big blow to my opponent's push, because this is anchoring his push with armor right now. If I can, I mean, and I don't have anything that can take it in a one-on-one fight, so I do have to be really careful about that. But we have a peace Rhine, we're headed over around, and also trying to draw the Carver in. So if we take a look here, where did my Roland 3s go? Not really sure. But evac ordered on the Carver, and I don't think we lost the Roland 3s. Where'd they go? That's very strange. Very, very strange. Oh no, they're right there. Okay. So with both of those going away, my Peace Rhine was actually evac ordered the first time. I was trying to stay away from the Carver. Now we're coming out again, and the Wargame, the position here on the Wargame, is actually really crucially important. So he's firing in at my Commando Marine. That means he's facing to our left as we're oriented right now. But my air spawn is coming directly, well, almost directly from parallel to where we are right now. So the Peace Rhine is going to come up, and it's going to get shots on side armor on what would ordinarily be a relatively tough nut to crack for not the highest HE missiles in the game, but I think even the first one did kill that guy. Now, Buffalo's 85 have gotten in to my town, and this is a bit of a mistake there, just sort of driving up to get it, but the Rafale also called out because I'm tired of those Impalas, and I'm tired of the Cheetah Ds, but if we can fend them off, my Commander Marine basically dead, but there's still a lot of guns here, we are still getting stuns, and that means that they really can't fight, but the Cheetah D target position, the Cheetah D does kill my Commando's Para, and this is going to be a losing fight. The Buffaloes will, once they recover, which they have now, probably grind out the last remains of my Commando Marine. And there's more to come. So Casper Mark IIs, and if we take a look, I was sitting there going, please tell me I'm not going to lose the game to this attack from quad stacks of cheap militia with a little bit of fire support into this section. It was surprisingly effective. But Martyr 2s are going to be defending this. If I can get Panzergrenadier 90 up and into this section of town, so much the better. But SASF 90 are coming in, and this is good anti-helicopter protection as well, plus the Apolos secondaries are no joke. They will mulch through anything that gets too close. At least as long as their attack moves. So right there we actually got some good shots on with the VAB, just because I think they were force pathed. But yeah, we'll see. So, smoke is here, Buffalo's 85. This is where they struggle, by the way, because the Milan F1s, yeah, they'll kill things at range, but they don't have a lot of punch. So we just take them out with the Martyrs. My Martyrs are staying here, trying to stay away from the Apoloses that I know the SASF 90 carry, and then just letting the Panzergrenadier 90 do the work. We're doing the same thing he did to us, basically, where he spotted us and then shot from back behind with the Rover 106s, and now we're just getting the Panzergrenadier in and shooting him with Martyrs. Unfortunately, losing a little bit to smoke. But this has started probably to be taxing for my opponent, because we killed the Wargame, we killed a whole bunch of his Buffalo's 90 and Buffalo's 85, and as I said before, that was a 140-point stack. SASF 90 are not cheap either, and they're definitely getting ground down compared to my Panzergrenadier 90, which relatively healthy, and the Lichta MG3 is going to be just the mainstay of town-to-town fighting. SASF 90 just can't really keep up with that, because they don't have a tertiary themselves. But more Burgermach and the Panzergrenadier get up close enough to deal with the Rover 106s finally. I mean, pretty good value off of those. I can't really be mad about that. But we have fended off that strike and that push in, and that is probably going to be pretty close to the game. We have about a minute left here in play, as I don't remember what prompted the surrender, but it's going to be pretty soon, and I kind of understand. So Cheetah D shooting in again, not really able to get any kills, and then we're just pushing the Burgermach out slowly with a triple stack of mortars and lots and lots and lots of fire support. So I think this is I think it's the last hurrah with that next section of Casper K cars, or maybe even, let's see what he, oh right. So on this side I did actually lose my Tiger. because there were a couple of, I believe, SASF 90 that made their way over here. So he did exactly what I said earlier. He went up, around, and through, and my unfortunate Tiger just was in the wrong place at the wrong time, wasn't able to get his rocket pods online, and this smoke is meant to allow my opponent's infantry to shoot the gap, which is pretty clever. I'd never really seen this before. We'll have to see if it works. I'm moving my command infantry just to make sure that they aren't the first thing that the enemy infantry encounters. If they went right through this way, that would have been the case, but this looks like a forced pathing here, because the 13 VTTs should be dead by now, but instead they get the stun, and it's just M2 Brownings, but, you know, if the SASF isn't shooting back, that's going to be a kill, and that's going to be the game. So I've never, ever seen South Africa played like that, and I just wanted to share it with you guys. Hope you found it enjoying. We're going to take a look at some of the star units here for just a second. Oddly enough, not the Tiger, and so many of these kills are on transports, it's kind of insane. But VABT 2013 killed the Ruakat 76, which is very nice. Return on investment and then some. The 1390s really helped anchor that push, even if it was just against militia, until I could get other units up and on the way. And then I really think, just the fire support did very, very well. Another VAB killing 3 Buffaloes 85 in the open. Martyr 2s peeling apart their support and putting some more shots into Buffaloes 85. Just it was a great day for some heavier armored fire support than what South Africa offers. So that's going to be our game. Thank you all for hanging around, and we'll see you again real soon.